Good morning everyone. Today we'll see the structure of pollen grains. It is the topic of class 12, chapter 2. Up till now we have seen about the process of microsporogenesis, that is how the spores are formed or pollen grains are formed. Today we'll see the structure of the pollen grains. Now as you know that pollen grains are generally spherical shape and it measures about 20 to 50 micrometer in diameter. So it is a very small spore that has been produced, and it is having the two layers. The outer layer is known as the exine, and the inner one is known as intine. So it is having the two layers, the outer exine and the inner intine. This outer layer is very much hard. It is a hard layer which is made up of the sporopollenin. It is one of the most resistant organic matter and it is quite hard in the nature. And the nature of this is that it can survive itself, or it can withstand itself even at a very high temperature and very strong acidic environment. So this sporopollenin, it can survive itself at a very high range of temperature and in a very acidic environment also. No enzyme till now has been developed or known which can degrade this particular layer of the sporopollenin. So this particular layer, it protects the exine, or it is present at the exine of the pollen grain. Now pollen grain exines has prominent aperture called germ pore. It is having the prominent aperture called germ pore. Now what is the function of this germ pore? The germ pore, it will develop the pollen tube. On maturity, it will develop the pollen tube. In the NCERT, there will be a question that why do you think the exine should be hard? So why the exine should be hard? Because it will protect the pollen grains into the harsh condition, as there is the structure or there is a layer of the sporopollenin which can survive itself in the high temperature as well as in the acidic environment. The next question is there that what is the function of this germ pore? So this germ pore later on develops the pollen tube, and this pollen tube will go inside the ovary of the plant for the process of fertilization or to transfer the pollen grains into the ovary of the plant. Now the inner wall of pollen grain, it is known as intine. Just now I have said that there are two layers, one is the exine and another one is the intine. So the inner layer is known as the intine, and as compared to this outer layer or the exine layer, it is a thin and continuous layer. It is a thin and continuous layer, and it is made up of cellulose and another material that is known as pectin. Whereas the exine is made up of the sporopollenin, but this particular layer is made up of the cellulose and pectin. So this particular two layers has been surrounded, which can surround the pollen grain. Now, the cytoplasm of pollen grain. The cytoplasm of the pollen grain is surrounded by simple plasma membrane, and when the pollen grain mature, it consists of two cells. When the pollen matures out. First of all, we see the structure of the pollen grain. First of all, the microspore tetrad is formed like this. The 4 tetrads were there, and there will be the 2 layer. So this will be the 2 layer. This is the nucleus. So this is the exine, and this one will be the intine. Later on, when it matures, it will develop into this is the nucleus inside the nuclear membrane, and there will be the formation of the larger vacuole. These are the cytoplasmic material which will develop, and after this development there will be the formation of the asymmetric spindles which can divide this pollen grain or microspore mother cell into 2 parts. The first one will be this will be the generative cell, and this will be the vegetative cell. So as the pollen grain gets matures, it will develop into the smaller generative cell and a larger vegetative cell. Now what is the function of this vegetative and generative cell? So the vegetative cell is bigger and it has abundant food reserve. That is why it helps the pollen grains to get mature. And the generative cell is comparatively small and floats in the cytoplasm of the vegetative cell. It is a spindle-shaped and dense cytoplasm of a nucleus. In over 60% of angiosperms, pollen grains are shed off. Shed off means what? When the anther gets matured, the dehiscence of the anther takes place, and the pollen grains which were present inside it, they will come out from the anther or anther lobe, and after that when it divides mitotically, it will give rise to the 2 male gametes, and other cells that were present inside the pollen grain, they were shed off. They can give rise to only 2 male gametes, and these 2 male gametes were present after the maturation of the pollen grains. Now after the 3 shelled stage, the formation of the 2 male gametes will be there, and the 2 male gametes were formed. Now these male gametes that were formed after this particular process, they reaches up to the ovary of the female, and there they will develop into a zygote or into the embryo, so that the formation of the new plant will takes place. Now in the next lecture we will deal about the megasporogenesis, and in that process we will deal about the ovary of the plant, the stigma, style and the ovary of the plant, and various structures of the ovary. So please comment and share this post. Thank you.